All right, I guess we can proceed. So let me know if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Also, let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so we want to look at CSS. All right, so what is CSS? If you look at what we've been doing so far, you will notice that most of the stuff we've done are actually looking very skeletal, or they're not looking so beautiful. You're just having plain white, black and white colors. Right, so CSS is fully known as cascading style sheets. Right, so cascading style sheets, and from the word style sheets, um, it means it's used to add styling to our HTML documents or to our web pages. So we can use it to add colors, we can use it to add margins, we can use it to change fonts. Maybe we don't want the font to look the way it's looking. You can change the font properties. Let's say a text is looking small, and we want to make the size of the text to increase. We want to make it bigger, or we want to change the text color, right? So CSS is basically used for styling our HTML documents. Then so how does CSS work? Right, let's come back to our VX Code. So I'll create a new file for today, which is day 3, and I'll go here and say new folder. Okay, I don't want to, let me click on here, and then I'll say the say day 3.
It's still inside it.
Yeah, I'll move it out.
Are you creating?
I'll move it out. Right, so it's outside and it's on its own. Let me create another. I don't know why it's coming in here. Let me name this day 3 again. Let me see. It's still coming inside here.
Under day 2.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can double click somewhere in, because I was experiencing the same thing, but I clicked somewhere under that no, outside, like this black spot under somewhere here. That same file. Yes. Somewhere
Yeah.
there, just click it.
Okay.
Just click anywhere. Now create a folder. Now click on folder. No. Yeah, that should work. Let's see.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Alright, thank you. Sometimes even us, we do make mistakes. Alright.
I've been trying it, but it keeps creating files. So I just click that and it worked.
Okay. Let me add something because I already have another day 3 folder there. Okay, so thanks. So inside the day 3 folder, I want to add a new file called index.html. Then I'll put in my HTML there. Then I also want to add another file called styles.css. styles.css. So I want to name this day 3. So let's see something we can use. So okay, let's go back to our day 2 and let me see if I can, from the birthday party, let me just copy out the same code. Let's replicate it instead of writing it all over again. So I'll just copy it, Ctrl C, then go to my index.html file and I paste it. So let me open that using live server again. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, since we don't have the image, right, but that's fine for now. Let's just proceed with this. That's fine for now. Don't want to create another folder and start moving images. So let's proceed with this. So please let me know if you are still together before I start explaining some other things. If you can still hear me clearly. Can everybody still hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Alright. Okay, so in CSS, alright, we have different ways we can add styling to our documents. So one way we can add a styling is what we called, so you can write this down. We have 3 types of ways we can add styling to our HTML documents. The first one is what we call inline styling. Alright, inline styling. Then the second one is what we call internal styling. Then the third one is external styling. That's internal CSS, sorry, inline CSS, internal CSS, then external CSS. So first of all, how does internal CSS work? Internal CSS means from, sorry, I keep making, inline CSS, right? So inline CSS is within our HTML document. And from the word inline, it means we use it in the same line with our tags. So for example now, let's say I want to style this H1, alright? So what I want to do is I'll use the style attribute and I'll say style. Then I want to give it a color. I want to give it a color. I want to give it a color, and I want to give it a color of blue. Right, so look at how this is written. You want to take note of this, right? So it's style first, then is equal to, then you have a quote, a opening quote and a closing quote, then you have your color property, and then you have the color, which is blue. So if I save this now, even from the preview here, you can see that the color has changed. But let me go to our browser. Then you can see that we now have a color for our "It's My Birthday." So it looks more beautiful than it was. So that is how we can add styling using inline CSS, right? So let's say I didn't want to use inline CSS and I want to use internal CSS. So to use internal CSS, it will be in your heading, alright, in your head tag, in between your head tag, this same place where you have the meta chassis and the
listen.
Alright. Someone is saying something.
Wait, I'm not anymore.
I didn't hear, your voice was low.
Yes, I'm not seeing your screen, sir.
Okay, is my screen also, is it visible to others? Let me know if others can see my screen.
Your screen
Yes,
is
you
visible.
can see your screen.
Okay, then it's probably your network, or maybe you are not clicking
I
on
said
it.
I'm not seeing your screen, sir.
You are not seeing my screen. but it's visible to others, so maybe it's probably your network. Alright, so let's proceed. So to add internal CSS, what we will do is we'll type in style, then you want to click enter, or you just select, you see this panel that's showing here with the word style, you can just click on it, then it will auto complete the code for you. So it will give you a opening style tag and a closing style tag. Then in between these two, you want to press enter and you want to write your styling.
So your screen is not showing. Your screen is not showing.
Okay.
His screen is showing. Maybe his network. His screen is showing.
It's showing, yes, your screen is showing.
Okay.
It's back now. It's back.
Alright, okay. So this is where I'll now write my styling in between the opening tag and the closing tag. So I want to give it I want to target the H1 here. Alright. So when we are using inline styling, alright, we can target the tags themselves individually. Alright, so let's say I want to target this H1 tag. What I will do is I will type in H1, then I will say, I'll give space, then I want to use a curly bracelet. This is a bracket, but not the regular bracket, it's a curly kind of bracket. Alright, then I want to type in my code here, and I want to say color, and I want to give it a color of red. Then I'll save it. Right, but this code might not reflect because I already have a styling here, so I'll just take out this inline styling that I have before, so it doesn't contradict with each other. I'll take out this one, then you see that the code has reflected. So I'll just save this, then I'll go back to my browser, then you see that the color has changed. Right, has changed to red. So let's say I want to style another tag or another element. Let's say I want to style the H2. I want to give it another color. So let's give it a color of let's say yellow. No, yellow might not show. Let's say green. So I'll save it. Then if I go back to the code, you can see the color has changed from black to green. So that is how we use inline internal styling, internal CSS. So the third one, which I mentioned, is called external CSS, where the styling is not in the HTML document, but we are going to create an external file to keep the styling, the OCSS, for our code. So which is what I did initially. So I've already created the file, which is called style.css. So what I want to do now is I want to move this whole code here. I want to move it there. So I'll just cut this out and paste it here. Alright, then I'll go back to my HTML file. I want to remove the style tags. But if you notice, if I save this now and I go back to my browser, it won't work. The styling is not reflected, the code is not working. So what I want to do now is I want to link this styles.css to my HTML document. Right, the same way we were linking web pages. Alright, that is the same way, almost similarly, we will link this style.css. So to link a style.css file, you do that in your head tag. So what you want to do is you want to use a tag called link. Alright, then let me do that again, that might look too fast. So I want to say link, then I want to click on this first option that says link. Alright, then it will complete this code. So what does these things mean? These things that you're seeing here, this REL means relationship. Alright, so it has a relationship of style sheets, showing us that we are linking a style sheet to our HTML document. Then as you know, the href attribute is used for linking, as for adding a link. So what we want to do now is we want to link our style.css file. So what we can simply do is type in styles.css. I can also say dot slash dot slash style dot css. Anyone still works fine. So if I save that and I go to my browser, okay, it's not reflecting here. Let me go back and save it again. Still not reflecting. Okay, but it's actually reflecting in our preview here. So let me see what's wrong.
Maybe you should refresh the page, the browser.
Let me open it again using with the live server. Let's see. Okay, now it's showing. So now it's showing. Let me just close one tab for the tree. So that's how you can use external styling. So when do you use?
Sorry. What about the background? The background. You are showing the background.
Sorry, I'm not hearing you clearly, please.
I mean, what about the background? The background.
Changing the background of
The front page. The background of all what you are written. I need the browser page, like white. You change it to blue or yellow.
Okay, we'll come to that. We are going step by step. So we'll get to the parts of doing background color and stuff like that. Right. So when do you use inline styling, internal styling, or external styling? So it depends, but most of the time for professional sake, for professionalism's sake, you use it's best to use it externally. But sometimes if you are not working in a large project, you can use the internal styling, that is putting it in your head section, right? Then if you have something that you just something minute and you feel like you want to put it in your inline, but it's not usually advisable, you can do your inline styling. But most of the time, the best way is to do your CSS by linking it externally. And so any of them works, but the best is usually the external styling. Then okay, let me see okay. And then we should also look at something else under styling. So another thing we can look at is how we can add trying to see what's the next thing we can do. So how we can change fonts also, right? And how we can add background colors. So let's say I want to, like the way someone asked, let's see, I want to change the background color of our body. So I can just target the body and I would say background color, then I'll say black. Then you see everything changes to black, but it doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make it look, unless you want to change all of this to white, which we can also try. So let's say you want to change our H1 and H2, we want to change them to a color of white, and we want to change this back to a color of white. That's when some of the stuffs would change, but we are going to use the normal white background for practice sake, so that it will be visible. Most of our text will be visible. So I'll just control undo to undo all of this. So that's how we can add background colors. Then let's say we want to change our font size. Alright, the font size of each of these each of these of our heading. So let's say I want to change the font size for H1. So what I can do is, let's say I want to make it bigger. I can use the font size property, and I'll say font size FONT hyphen, then I'll say size. Then I want to give it a size of, let's say, 50 pixels. Then if I save it, you can see that our text has become much bigger. So another thing we can also look at under the font properties, we can say, let's change the, please, someone's mic is on. If your mic is on, please, you can unmute it for now. If someone mic first. Please, Joseph, please help us mute your mic.
Joseph.
Let me just mute it from there. Okay, let's proceed. So, pixels. So another font property we can look at is, let's say we don't like this font and we want to change the font family. So let's say we want to use something else. Let's say I want to use this one, Arial Helvetica Sans Serif. So if I save this and I go back to my browser, you see that the font has changed. And so that's how you can change the font of your elements using CSS. Another thing we can also look at is font weight. Let's say I want to make our H2, I want to make the font to be, currently this is how it looks like. So let's make it bolder. Let's do that in our paragraphs. Do we have any paragraph? No, we don't have any paragraph here. Okay, let's just target the H2 then. So let's say I want to give the H2 a font weight. So you use a font weight when you want to style the boldness of your H2 or your paragraphs. So if I select bold, it might not really show, but let's say I select 800 pixels. So font weight. Then I select bolder. Still appears the same. Let's try it on a paragraph then. Let's try it on a paragraph. Let's add a paragraph to our index.html. So let's say the paragraph of, let's use the lorem ipsum text. So to use the lorem ipsum text, I'll just type in lorem and I'll click enter. Then to give us a random text. Give us a random text. Give us this text. Alright, so let's say I want to style the paragraph text and I want it to look bolder. So I will select the paragraph text, the paragraph tag, then I want to put my curly bracelet and I want to say font weight, then I want to give the font weight of bold. And so if I save that and I come here, you see that it has become bolder compared to the initial state it was. So that's how you can make your text or your paragraphs bold using the font property. And another thing we can also look at is, in a case where you have in a case where you have multiple tags, alright, and if I say I want to style this H3 now and I select it, it means that all the H3 in my document will have the same styling. So let's try that out. So let's say I want to style the H3 element, the H3 tag, then I say curly bracelet and I give it a color of, let's say, color of pink. Let me use a violet color, and we look at it here. Then you see that all this text, all the H3 have the color pink. Alright. So let me use something better. Let's use blue. Something that will be more visible. So if I save that and I view it, so you see that it's blue. But this can be a problem if we don't want all of them to have the same color. So let's say I want the H3 to have, the first H3 to have a different color from the second H3. That is when we use something we call CSS selectors. Right? CSS selectors. So under CSS selectors, we have what we call the class. Alright? We have what we call the class. So let's say in my H3 now, I want to give it a class. Alright? I'll give it a class, and let's say I'll name it, I'll give it a class name of first H3. So I'll give it that class name of first H3. Now, to select our class, right, we will have to use the dots. To style it, we have to use the dots. Unlike our when we were styling our tags, we are just using the name of the tags. But when you are now using the class name, you have to use the dots in front of it. Then you want to put your class name there, and put your curly bracelet, and put your styling also. Let's say we want to give it another color. Instead of blue, we want to give that particular one a color of brown. Alright, so I'll save that and let's view. Okay, it's not reflecting yet. Okay, it's reflecting here but not on the page itself. So I think it's still the same issue we had initially. So let me open with live server again. That should clear out that error. So yeah, it is. So you can see that the first H3 now has a different styling compared to the second one. So that is how we can use the class selectors. And also we can also say that different elements can have the same class. So I can say this class now should be shared with the second one, the second H3, and I'll also give it the same class. Alright, and I'll also give our H1 the same class. Give it the same class. Okay, it's showing me an error here. Okay. So if I give okay, I can see where the error is coming from. I didn't copy out this correctly. So I'm going to copy it out and end with the last quotes. I'll copy it, then paste it here. Then also paste it in our H1. Then I'll save it. So if I come to our code and I look at it now, you see that that particular styling has affected the tags that has the same class. So you see that all of them now have the same color of brown. Alright, so I wouldn't want to take this class longer so that we don't have information overload. But so far, I want to know if you have any question and if there's anything you don't understand so I can explain better. So in our next class, we'll dive more into CSS and we'll look at other selectors like the ID selectors, and we also look at other properties in CSS. But so far, let's see if you have any question or you have anything that you don't understand that we can clarify. So let me know if you have any questions. Is there any question?
I have the questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much for what you have done so far. I would need to appreciate you for that. You have done so well. And my question is that concerning when you're having an error in your code,
Okay.
it's showing red. That means you're having an incorrect code. So by the time you are putting the code, I observe that it's
Sorry,
showing red.
your voice is going low. Maybe you're far from your device.
It shows you are.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
In my observation, I noticed that
I can hear you. You can
when
proceed.
when you're having an error, it's one of the codes is showing red.
Okay. Your voice is painting, but I think I still got your question. So you're saying if my code is showing red while I'm still typing, if it's an error. So the thing is that,
Exactly.
okay, the thing is that it's not all the time that it's an error. So what happens is that if you are still writing your code, it can bring out that red line, alright? But most times it's usually to tell you that it's an error, alright? But if you are still in the process, you are not done with your code. Let me give you an example now. If I let me see which example is best I can use in this scenario. Okay, let's say I want to go back to my style.css now, and I remove this. You see that there's a red line here. It's not that visible. There was a red line here, but I wasn't done with my code, but it was still showing me red line. So it doesn't mean that you are wrong. The only time it can look like you are wrong is after you are done writing your code and you feel you're already done. Like, see, okay, look at this colon here. You see that there's a red underline here. Alright. But I'm not done with my code. I still have to type in blue. So once I type that, the red line is gone. So it's showing me that I don't have any error in my code. But you can always ignore that line if you are still in the process of completing your line of code. Alright. But if you are done with your code and you feel that you should have a result that you're expecting and you are still getting that red line, that means your code is not properly written. So that's just how it works. It's just like if you haven't typed in your normal documents in Google Docs or MS Word. You might not be done with typing what you want to type. It's already showing you error. Until when you are done and you've written the correct thing, the error line then goes out. So that is just the same thing in this scenario. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes, you have really answered my questions, and you are not clear with the class. What is the difference between the class? What the selectors you are? Maybe we can push that to the next class. I don't know, but I think you can explain in the next class about the selectors, about the class, the ID you are talking about. What the difference between them, the IDs and the class? Can we? I think I'm not clear about that. I believe you can push that into the next class if the time permits us. And it's,
Yeah. So
okay.
we'll look more into the CSS because tomorrow we still have CSS according to the schedule I dropped on the group. So look more into CSS tomorrow. Then we also have a project on that. So if you notice, I'm not giving you any project on CSS for today. I'm just still giving it on HTML. So tomorrow, as we dive deeper into CSS, there will be a project for that. So, and don't forget, the project for today was creating the birthday party website that shows details about your birthday party, what your friends are about to bring, the date of your birthday, and also the location, a link to the location of your birthday. So that will be your project for this day 2. Right. So for this day 3, don't know if I should give any project on that. But let's just leave that and just do the one for day 2. For day 2. Or you can title it day 2 and day 3 project together. That's just it.